There is a moment in your life when you feel something quietly shifting inside you, even if no one around you notices. It can feel like a soft crack beneath the surface, a pressure rising from somewhere you cannot touch with your hands. You look at your own reflection and sense that something is calling you from behind your eyes. It is subtle, yet it will not let you rest. You try to continue as if nothing is happening, but the unease lingers. It sits in your chest like a question you cannot answer. It follows you into the night. It wakes you before the sun. You know it is real, even if you cannot name it. You feel it when you try to stay the same, and your inner world refuses. You feel it when the life you built begins to feel too narrow for the person you are becoming. Something inside you starts to press against the walls of your identity. You sense the tension between who you were and who you are meant to be. At first, you resist. You tell yourself that everything is fine. You cling to what is known, not because it nourishes you, but because it is familiar. Yet, beneath this resistance, something breathes. Something ancient. Something true. There are moments when you feel yourself breaking in ways you cannot explain. Not the dramatic breaks that others can see, but the quiet fractures no one ever notices. A soft grief that moves through you, a strange longing that comes without reason, a sudden heaviness that arrives in the middle of an ordinary day. It feels like something is dissolving, yet you cannot tell what. You do not know if you are falling apart or being prepared. You sense that something in you is ending, but another part whispers that this ending is necessary. Your mind tries to make sense of it, yet the mind cannot reach the places where truth hides. You search for explanations, but none satisfy. You try to distract yourself, but the pull returns. You try to silence it, but it grows louder in the silence. You begin to realize that this movement inside you is not an intruder. It is not a punishment. It is not a flaw. It is your soul pushing against everything in you that has become too small. It is your deeper nature trying to breathe after being compressed for years. It is the truth inside you asking for space. You feel torn between fear and curiosity. One part of you clings to the old shape of your life. Another part leans towards something unknown. You do not know which part will win. You feel suspended between two worlds. The life you know no longer fits. The life you long for has not yet formed. You stand at the threshold of something you cannot see. And still, a quiet voice keeps whispering that this breaking is not the end. It is an opening. What if the very thing you fear is the doorway? What if your soul is not trying to break you down, but break you open? What if the discomfort that unsettles you is the first sign that your truth is rising? You can feel it even now, a subtle warmth at the edges of your awareness, a slow widening of something hidden, a soft glow beneath the rubble of what you thought you were. Something in you is waking up, and yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There comes a time when the surface of your life can no longer contain the depth moving beneath it. You feel this in quiet waves, moments when your breath changes without reason, moments when you sense a presence within you that is older than your fear. This presence moves like a river under the floorboards of your mind. It presses against your certainties. It softens your defenses. It whispers through the cracks of your ordinary thoughts. It wants to rise. It wants to be known. And every time you resist, the pressure grows stronger. Not to harm you, but to guide you toward what you have buried. Your soul speaks in symbols you often ignore. It shows itself in dreams that stir something forgotten. It appears in sudden memories that shimmer with meaning. It hides in the shadow of your reactions, where your fears reveal the shape of your longing. It moves in the tension between your desires and your wounds. And each time you look away, your soul waits with patience. It knows that truth cannot be forced. Truth must be invited. Truth must be felt. So it leans closer with every cycle of your life, preparing you for the moment when you can no longer turn from what is calling you. You begin to feel this inner movement as a subtle trembling, like a forest at night when the wind shifts direction. You know something is approaching, yet you cannot say what. There is a soft rustling in your inner world, a stirring of leaves that signals a coming transformation. You walk through your days with the sense that unseen roots are pulling you deeper. You find yourself drawn to silence. You find yourself avoiding what once distracted you. You feel your emotions rising like fog, asking to be seen. It is not chaos. It is a language older than words. Your unconscious begins to loosen its grip on the stories you once believed about yourself. You feel these stories cracking, much like old bark on a tree when spring arrives. The old layers fall away because they were never meant to hold you forever. You sense that what you called identity was only a mask built from survival. You wore it in the world because you thought you had to. But the soul is not interested in masks. The soul wants the face beneath the face, the truth beneath the fear, the fire beneath the ash. This breaking open is not accidental. It is the natural movement of inner life when you have outgrown the shell that once protected you. An acorn splits before it becomes a tree. A seed breaks before it rises toward the sun. The night sky must open before dawn can enter. Your soul knows this rhythm. It knows the cycle of dissolution and renewal. It knows that every collapse is an invitation. It knows that every crack is a threshold. So it leads you toward the places you have avoided, not to punish you, but to free you from your own illusions. You feel this liberation as both fear and relief. Fear, because you are stepping into the unknown. Relief, because a deeper part of you recognizes the truth. The truth feels like warmth in the chest. The truth feels like a doorway opening inside your awareness. The truth feels like a sudden clearing in a dense forest. You look around and realize you have been walking in circles for years. Yet now, as the trees shift, you see a path you never noticed. It was always there. You simply were not ready to walk it. Your soul breaks you open in the exact places where you have been holding yourself closed. It touches the wounds you tried to forget. It illuminates the patterns that shaped your life. It shows you the difference between desire and destiny. And when you resist, it waits. When you collapse, it holds you. When you deny the truth, it places it gently in your dreams again. Like a persistent flame, it refuses to fade. It knows that your awakening depends on your willingness to see. There is a moment when the breaking becomes a blessing. You begin to understand that what felt like destruction was preparation. What felt like loss was cleansing. What felt like emptiness was the clearing of old debris. You start to sense a light beneath your pain, a faint glow that grows stronger with each insight. You realize that the soul does not break you to diminish you. It breaks you to reveal the space where your truth has been waiting. It breaks you so you can finally return to yourself. The forest inside you becomes quieter. The fog lifts. The river flows with clarity. You begin to trust this rhythm. You begin to trust your own unfolding. You see that every inner tremor was a message. Every tear was a release. Every moment of confusion was a reorientation. And the deeper you go, the more familiar it feels. You recognize the terrain. You recognize the voice. You recognize the light rising through your shadows. It has always been yours. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There is a moment when you sense the first shift inside you. It might begin as a strange heaviness that enters your chest without permission. It might come as a quiet sadness that you cannot explain. You move through your day as if everything is normal, yet something feels different. Something feels thinner. Something feels fragile. You touch your thoughts and they feel distant. You touch your memories and they feel hollow. It is as if the world around you has softened, yet the world within you has begun to vibrate. You do not know why, but you feel the tremor, a gentle quivering beneath your calm exterior. This tremor is the first sign that something old is loosening its grip. It is the unconscious rising to the surface, carrying the weight of what you have avoided for years. It wants your attention. It wants your presence. It wants the truth you have buried under obligations and roles. And as this truth stirs, the shell around you begins to thin. The identity you constructed from past wounds and forgotten fears starts to show its cracks. You try to hold it together, but your soul has already begun the work. It wants to breathe. It wants to stretch. It wants you to see what lies beneath the surface. You feel this cracking as discomfort. You feel it as restlessness. You feel it as the urge to withdraw and the urge to escape all at once. It is confusing. It is overwhelming. And yet, there is a strange familiarity to it, as if you have been here before, in another moment of your life, when something deep was trying to emerge. This time, though, the pull is stronger. This time, the walls you built cannot hold you. They tremble with every breath. They tremble with every truth you refuse to acknowledge. And slowly, you begin to realize that the walls are not protecting you. They are confining you. Your emotions swell like a river pressed against a narrow bank. Old memories rise with the weight of unspoken pain. Patterns you thought you had outgrown return with sharper clarity. You wonder if you are regressing. But you are not. You are seeing. You are feeling. You are allowing the unconscious to reveal its tapestry. This is not regression. This is revelation. It is the soul shining a light into your shadows. It is the forest of your inner world finally whispering what it has held for years. Every tree, every root, every hidden path carries a message. And the deeper you look, the more you find. Jung once said that when a person's outer life becomes too rigid, the psyche sends tremors toward the surface to break the shell. These tremors are not punishments. They are corrections. The unconscious knows when your life has drifted too far from your truth. It knows when your choices are shaped by fear rather than desire. It knows when your heart has been silenced. So it stirs. It sends symbols in your dreams. It sends strange impulses that disrupt your certainty. It sends longing that pulls you toward what you do not yet understand. The breaking begins here, in the small movements, long before the larger fractures arrive. You can feel this as pressure in the mind. You can feel it as heat in the chest. You can feel it as heaviness behind the eyes. You may not recognize it at first, but something sacred is unfolding. Your soul is loosening the threads of your old identity. It is dissolving the illusions you built to survive. It is softening the beliefs that once kept you safe but now keep you stagnant. And with every thread that loosens, you feel a strange mixture of fear and freedom. Fear because you are losing what you knew. Freedom because you are touching what you lost. This process feels like walking at night through a forest you once feared. At first, you see only darkness. You hear only the rustling of leaves. Your footsteps feel uncertain. But as your eyes adjust, you begin to see shapes. You begin to see pathways. You begin to trust that the forest is not trying to swallow you. It is trying to guide you. The darkness becomes a teacher. The shadows become companions. And the deeper you walk, the more you feel a presence beside you. Something ancient. Something gentle. Something devoted to your becoming. Your soul moves like a quiet flame behind every moment of discomfort. It flickers when you resist. It grows when you surrender. It warms the places inside you where fear once lived. You do not see it clearly yet, but you feel it. You feel the warmth spreading slowly, like dawn touching the horizon. This warmth is not external. It is you. It is the part of you that refuses to let your past define your future. It is the part of you that remembers who you are beneath the layers of adaptation. As the walls of your old self begin to tremble, you feel the first opening. A small crack in the stone, a thin beam of light seeping through. It is not enough to see everything, but it is enough to know there is more. It is enough to sense that your breaking is not a collapse. It is an invitation. The journey begins with this crack, this tremor, this subtle shift that tells you nothing will ever be the same. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There comes a point when the tremor inside you is no longer subtle. It grows into a quiet pull that draws your attention toward the places you once avoided. You feel it like a slow descent, as if you are walking down a staircase you did not know existed. Each step takes you deeper into yourself. Each step takes you closer to the truth hidden beneath your daily thoughts. You sense the presence of your own shadow rising to meet you. It is not loud. It is not violent. It is simply there, waiting, watching, asking for recognition. You feel this meeting before you see it, and it stirs something ancient in your bones. Your shadow does not appear as darkness meant to frighten you. It appears as everything you abandoned. It takes the shape of forgotten desires, unspoken fears, grief you buried because no one taught you how to hold it, strength you disowned because someone once told you it was too much, vulnerability you silenced because you feared being wounded again. Every piece of you that was rejected in the past gathers here, not to haunt you, but to be reclaimed. This descent is a reunion, though it does not feel like one at first. It feels like confusion. It feels like chaos. It feels like the forest inside you becoming dense and unfamiliar. Your emotions intensify, not because you are breaking, but because you are sensing what has been waiting to be seen. Old memories rise from the riverbed of your unconscious. They move through you like currents of forgotten truth. You feel the pain of old betrayals, the sting of old shames, the heaviness of unspoken words. These emotions do not return to punish you. They return because they were never resolved. They linger because they were never understood. Now, in this descent, they come to be released. They come to be integrated. They come to be transformed by the light of your awareness. Jung understood this descent as a sacred journey. He knew that the unconscious holds not only wounds but treasures. He knew that the truths most essential to your soul do not come through comfort. They come through confrontation. They come through honesty. They come through the moment you decide to stop running from yourself. In this place, your defenses soften. Your illusions thin. Your expectations fall apart. And beneath all these layers, you meet the rawness of your own being. You meet the part of you that has never lied to you. The part that has always known the way. This inner descent feels like stepping into a temple built in the deepest part of your psyche. The air is still. The silence is heavy. The walls are carved with forgotten stories. You walk slowly, listening to the echoes of your own breath. You notice symbols appearing around you. A mirror that shows you a face you once hid. A doorway that leads into a memory you avoided. A flame that flickers in the darkness, illuminating a truth you have not yet accepted. This temple is not imagination. It is the architecture of your inner world. It is the space where your shadow and your soul meet. You feel the weight of this meeting in your chest. A quiet pressure, a soft ache. It is the sensation of your inner world reorganizing itself. Everything that was fragmented begins to move toward the center. Everything that was denied begins to ask for voice. You may feel overwhelmed, but this overwhelm is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that something profound is happening. It is the psyche preparing to release old patterns. It is the soul preparing to reclaim lost pieces of itself. You are descending so you can rise. You are breaking open so you can see. The shadow steps forward with honesty. It shows you where you betrayed yourself. It shows you where you accepted less than you deserved. It shows you where fear shaped your choices. But it also shows you your courage. It shows you your resilience. It shows you your longing for authenticity. And as you witness this shadow, something softens. Something melts. You begin to understand that these disowned parts have been waiting for your compassion. They have waited for you to stop judging yourself. They have waited for you to see your own depth. This recognition feels like touching fire. It burns, yet it warms. It hurts, yet it awakens. You feel light flickering through the cracks of your old identity. You feel truth rising like dawn at the edge of a long night. The descent is not only about darkness. It is about discovering the light that has been trapped within it. It is about realizing that your shadow holds fragments of your purpose, fragments of your power, fragments of your truth. And as you gather these fragments, you begin to sense a quiet expansion in your chest, a widening, a soft glow. The forest within you becomes illuminated by this inner flame. You see pathways you never noticed. You see roots that connect every piece of your life. You see the river moving with clarity again. What once felt threatening now feels familiar. What once felt heavy now feels meaningful. The descent reveals that there is no separation between your light and your shadow. They are woven together. They are two movements of the same soul. And the more you witness this unity, the more you feel yourself opening. Not breaking, opening. This is the second turning point of your journey. The moment when you realize that the shadow is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is the guardian of your unlived life. It is the keeper of your truth. And as you stand in this inner temple, feeling the weight of everything you have avoided, you also feel the promise of everything you are becoming. The descent has prepared the ground. Something new is rising. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There is a moment when the descent reaches its still point. A quiet pause, a breath between worlds. You feel yourself standing inside the deepest chamber of your being, surrounded by everything you once feared. Yet, strangely, there is no terror left in you. Only recognition, only presence, only a soft awareness that something inside you has changed forever. You look around the inner landscape and notice that the darkness no longer feels threatening. It feels spacious. It feels honest. It feels alive. In this silence, you begin to sense a warmth rising from the very center of your being. This warmth feels like a gentle pulse. At first, it is subtle, a faint flicker beneath your ribs. But with each breath, it grows steadier. You feel it moving through the cracks created by your breaking. You feel it filling the empty spaces that once held fear. You feel it touching the wounds that once defined you. This is the light of your truth. Not the kind that blinds with brilliance, but the kind that illuminates softly. The kind that reveals without forcing. The kind that brings you back to yourself with tenderness. You realize that this light was never absent. It was only hidden beneath the layers you carried. As this light expands, it moves through old memories like water through stone. It softens what once felt sharp. It dissolves what once felt permanent. You begin to understand that healing is not the removal of your wounds. Healing is the warmth that makes those wounds part of your wholeness. Healing is the moment the soul touches the places the mind once abandoned. Healing is the soft glow that rises from your brokenness and transforms it into clarity. You feel this clarity forming inside you like a slow dawn. The kind of dawn that turns the sky golden even before the sun appears. Jung knew that when the unconscious becomes conscious, it brings not only pain but power. It brings the kind of power that feels like alignment. The kind of power that does not dominate but integrates. You feel this power now, not as force, but as coherence. Your thoughts begin to align with your truth. Your emotions begin to soften into understanding. Your inner world begins to organize itself around a deeper center. This center is not built from fear. It is built from authenticity. It is built from the parts of you that survived every collapse. It is built from the light that refused to die. You feel this alignment in your breath. Suddenly, the air feels different. It feels cleaner, deeper, more spacious. You inhale and feel something expand behind your sternum. You exhale and feel something release through your spine. The body responds to inner truth long before the mind does. The body recognizes safety. It recognizes honesty. It recognizes freedom. And now, with each breath, the body begins to settle into this new rhythm. The rhythm of a soul that is no longer compressed. The rhythm of a truth that is finally free to rise. This rising feels like walking out of a dense forest and seeing the first light of morning filtering through the branches. You look around and notice that everything is the same, yet everything is different. The trees still stand. The roots still hold the earth. The path still winds through the shadows. But now, the light touches each thing with meaning. The forest becomes a map of your own psyche. The light reveals the purpose of every branch, every stone, every turn. You understand that nothing inside you is random. Nothing was wasted. Every part of your inner world was preparing you for this clarity. The warmth inside you grows stronger. It moves through your spine like a quiet current. It moves through your chest like a gentle flame. It rises through your awareness like moonlight reflected on water. This is not external light. This is self-knowing. This is soul memory. This is the realization that you were never lost, only hidden from yourself. You begin to see your life from a new vantage point. Patterns that once confused you now make sense. Choices that once hurt you now reveal their lessons. People who once triggered you now reflect your own evolution. This clarity is not loud. It does not shout. It does not demand. It arrives like a whisper that says you are ready to live without the armor you once needed. A whisper that says you can trust the path beneath your feet. A whisper that says you are no longer defined by who you were when you were afraid. You feel this whisper echo through your chest. It feels like truth. It feels like alignment. It feels like the beginning of your becoming. And as this becoming unfolds, you notice a light spreading through the inner architecture of your being. It touches the walls of the temple you discovered in your descent. It softens the carvings. It warms the shadows. It reveals doorways you never noticed. You step closer and sense that these doorways lead to new parts of yourself. Parts that have been waiting to emerge. Parts that carry gifts you once feared to claim. The light shows you these gifts without rushing you. It knows you need time. It knows you need breath. So it glows patiently. This is the rising. The moment when your soul expands beyond the shell of your old identity. The moment when you begin to move from survival to expression. The moment when the truth inside you becomes stronger than the fear that kept it hidden. You feel this truth gathering at the center of your being. A quiet radiance. A soft power. A steady flame. It is the beginning of your return. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There is a moment when everything inside you begins to rearrange itself around the light you have uncovered. The descent, the cracking, the rising, each movement now converges in a single breath. You feel this shift like a slow ripple spreading through the deepest layers of your awareness. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is steady. It is calm. It is the quiet certainty that something inside you has aligned in a way that cannot be undone. You feel the threads of your inner world weaving themselves into coherence. You feel the scattered pieces of your story, moving toward a center they always belonged to. And in this gathering, a sense of wholeness begins to emerge. This wholeness does not erase your past. It does not demand perfection. It does not expect you to forget your wounds. Instead, it invites everything into a larger truth, a truth that holds both your darkness and your light, a truth that understands that every fracture was also a doorway, a truth that sees your pain not as punishment, but as preparation. You realize that the moments that broke you were the very moments that cleared the space for your becoming. You can feel this realization settling into your bones like a gentle warmth, the warmth of something finally understood. The light inside you now moves with intention. It spreads into memories you once avoided, illuminating them with understanding rather than judgment. You see your younger self with softness. You see your mistakes with compassion. You see your patterns with clarity. Nothing feels foreign anymore. Nothing feels unapproachable. The inner world that once intimidated you now feels intimate. You sense your soul guiding you through these corridors like a steady flame. It shows you that every step you resisted was part of your awakening. It shows you that every collapse was part of your unfolding. It shows you that nothing inside you was ever wasted. This integration feels like standing at the edge of a river and watching the water reflect the sky. The surface shimmers with fragments of light and shadow, yet the reflection remains whole. You sense that your life is the same, a blend of what hurt you and what healed you, a dance of what you lost and what you found. The river does not judge the stones beneath its surface. It simply flows. It moves with grace. It moves with purpose. As you witness this, you realize that you are learning to flow as well. You are learning to move with your truth rather than against it. You begin to recognize that the breaking you once feared was a form of initiation. Your soul did not break you to destroy you. It broke you to prepare you. It broke you to soften the places where truth would later enter. It broke you to open the chambers where love had been locked away. It broke you so you could see yourself without the distortions of fear. You feel this understanding flowing through you like a gentle current. It moves through your spine. It warms your chest. It settles behind your eyes. It is a soft awakening that arrives from within, not from the world outside. This truth does not push you. It does not force you. It welcomes you. It opens its arms as if you have been expected for a long time. You realize that this temple is yourself. It is the inner space where your soul and your consciousness meet. This meeting feels like a union of breath and awareness. You inhale and feel your truth rise. You exhale and feel your fear fall away. Each breath becomes a small integration, a soft merging, a step toward inner coherence. You sense that your soul is aligning your inner world with the rhythm of something larger, something timeless, something sacred. This rhythm carries the wisdom of every experience you have lived. It carries the strength you gained from every challenge. It carries the tenderness you learned through every heartbreak. It carries the light that survived every darkness. You begin to understand that truth is not a destination. Truth is a movement, a quiet unfolding, a continuous revelation. It grows in you like dawn grows across the sky. At first, it is only a faint glow. Then it becomes a soft radiance. Then it fills everything with clarity. This clarity does not erase your shadows. It embraces them. It does not reject your wounds. It holds them. It does not promise you perfection. It promises authenticity. And authenticity feels like the ground beneath your feet becoming solid after years of shifting sand. As this clarity expands, you feel yourself returning to the world with new eyes. The same life, yet a different perspective. The same challenges, yet a different strength. The same relationships, yet a different presence. You notice that you respond rather than react. You notice that you speak from your center rather than your fear. You notice that you move with intention rather than reflex. This is the effect of inner integration. It changes everything without needing to change anything outside you. It shifts the axis of your life from survival to self-knowing. The river of your awareness flows with more ease. The forest of your inner life feels like home. The temple of your deeper truth stands open. The flame within moves with steady warmth. You sense that your soul has given you back to yourself. Not the old self built from fear, but the true self rising from within. You stand in this inner space with a quiet certainty you cannot fully explain. It feels like alignment. It feels like freedom. It feels like remembrance. And as this remembrance settles into your being, you sense a profound invitation unfolding. An invitation to live from this truth, to breathe from this truth, to speak from this truth. Your soul does not demand that you become someone new. It invites you to become who you have always been. The path ahead feels different now. Not easier, but truer. You carry the light of your own awakening. You carry the warmth of your own integration. You carry the truth that emerged from your breaking. And yet, beneath it all, something still calls your name. There comes a moment when the inner journey softens into silence. You feel the movement of your soul not as intensity, but as presence. A gentle presence that follows you without pressure. A warmth that stays with you even when your mind wanders. The breaking, the descent, the rising, the integration, all of it now settles like dust illuminated by a soft beam of light. Nothing inside you feels rushed. Nothing feels unfinished. You sense that your inner world has found a new rhythm, a slower rhythm, one that allows you to breathe with more honesty. You walk through your thoughts with more space. You move through your emotions with more grace. This grace does not come from perfection. It comes from truth. You have touched places inside you that once frightened you. You have walked through forests you once avoided. You have entered chambers of your psyche that once felt locked. And now, these places feel familiar. They feel like parts of you that finally met the light. You no longer hide from your shadows. You no longer fear your depths. You no longer resist the movement of your soul. You understand now that every tremor was part of your awakening. Every fracture was part of your becoming. Every opening was part of your truth returning. You feel this truth sitting quietly in your chest. Not as a demand, but as a companion. Not as a force, but as a presence. It moves with you when you breathe. It softens your voice when you speak. It steadies your mind when you wander. It reminds you of who you are when old fears try to rise again. You sense that this truth will continue to unfold in the days ahead. Not in grand revelations, but in small moments. In the way you listen. In the way you rest. In the way you respond to life. You begin to trust that your soul will guide you gently, step by step, without ever forcing you to move faster than you can. The world around you looks the same, yet you meet it differently. You carry a quiet awareness within you now, a deeper breath, a softer gaze, a steadier heart. You notice that your reactions no longer control you. You notice that your patterns no longer define you. You notice that your inner voice speaks with more clarity. The noise that once drowned your intuition has quieted. The confusion that once clouded your path has thinned. You can hear yourself again. You can feel yourself again. You can trust yourself again. As you walk forward, you understand that the journey is not over. It never truly ends. Your soul will continue to open new doors, new insights, new layers of truth. But you are no longer afraid of this unfolding. You no longer resist the unknown. You no longer cling to your old identity. You have learned to meet your inner world with curiosity rather than fear. You have learned to see your breaking as an invitation. You have learned to witness your own evolution with tenderness. And this tenderness is what will guide you. The river of your awareness will continue to flow. The forest of your psyche will continue to breathe. The temple of your deeper truth will continue to glow from within. Each day, you will discover something new. Each night, you will release something old. And in this rhythm, your soul will reveal more of who you are meant to be. Not through pressure, but through presence. Not through force, but through openness. Not through perfection, but through honesty. Your truth is not an endpoint. It is a companion, a whisper, a quiet flame. You feel it now, warm against the inside of your chest. You know it will not leave you. You know it will continue to guide you toward yourself. You know it will rise whenever you forget. And so you walk forward, carrying this light, carrying this knowing, carrying the gentle certainty that every opening was a return to your essence, a return to your depth, a return to your soul. And in this soft return, you feel peace settling around you, a peace that does not erase the world, but allows you to meet it with presence, a peace that feels like a hand resting over your heart, a peace that feels like a whisper that says you are ready, ready to live from the truth you have found, ready to breathe with freedom, ready to move with authenticity, ready to inhabit your life from the inside out. You close your eyes for a moment and inhale. The light gathers, the soul opens, the truth rises, and the silence that follows feels like a blessing.